Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Did anybody see that game last night? Now, luckily, I did. I usually miss Monday Night Football because I'm so busy and it comes on so early out here in the West Coast, and the matchups are usually not even worth looking at. But I watched that one last night, and wow. I don't know if the San Francisco 49ers are for real, but they sure did look like it. And they were absolutely a fun watch, an absolute fun watch. And the Browns look like pretenders. They look like the Browns. I mean, you get a number one first round, number one overall quarterback with a ton of hype behind him, commercials everywhere, an all-world receiving core, not just ODB. You got Landry and all those guys over there, and they looked horrible. They looked horrible. So this leads me to an issue that I have with our coach and, a good bit of our fan base. I wanted to say some, but a good bit of our fan base. I was looking at my after game video, when the kids came in mocking me. Excuse me now. When the wife sent the kids in with the Vikings score to mock me. And by the way, my daughter is a new fan of my rant. She asked me last week when we lost to the Saints, she said, "Daddy, were you mad?" So I showed her the video, and she went around imitating me for the entire week. It was, and that was one reason why she wanted to run in here as well. But in the comments during the whole thing happened, a couple of guys saying I was delusional. And I know who it was, but I'm not going to bring them out. I was delusional. You have to pass to win in today's NFL. And I'm like, what? How many examples do I have to give people that running the football is the way to success in the NFL? And I think the problem is our run schemes are very predictable, that people think that we have to pass. We got to pass. We got to throw the ball. We have to throw the ball. Everybody's throwing the ball. No, they're not. I told you, in the latest Super Bowl winners, the top five are always top five in the NFL. The Pats last year were number 5 in rushing. The Rams are number 3 in rushing. Year before that, the Eagles were 3rd in rushing. And all those running games set up that passing game for all those teams. It was that powerful run game that set it up. So in today's NFL, also, with that, the pass rushers are way too good for you to have a consistent passing game throughout the entire year. There's no way you can do it. You look at the game last night with San Francisco. They were just eating Baker Mayfield alive. So I have to keep repeating myself to people. I sound like a broken record. 2 weeks ago, the Philadelphia Eagles played the same Green Bay Packers that we played. And the Pack did the same thing to them. They jumped all over them. What did Philadelphia do? Did they panic and start throwing the ball like crazy? No. Did they unleash Carson Wentz? Who, if I'm being honest, I love Dak. I love Dak more than Wentz. I haven't backed off Dak not an inch. I love him more than Carson Wentz. I think he brings more to the table as an overall quarterback than Carson Wentz. But if you're honest with yourself and you're talking about just passing, then Wentz is a better option to just throw the ball to make a comeback than Dak Prescott is. Easy. But what did they do? They slowed the game down with their run. They kept it very conservative in their passing game to stop the bleeding. Wentz barely threw a ball over 5 yards and ended up with 160 yards and a win. Can that get past some of you people? Then when we paid, Shango, we had to throw the ball because we fell behind 17 and other. Number one problem with that, it was just the first quarter. You could easily slow the football down if you can run. I'll get to that later. But it was still the first quarter. So you had 3 quarters. A touchdown in these 3 quarters, that's 21 points. It comes back 21-17. If you go score more than that, then you can win the football game. So 17-0 in the first quarter isn't a death sentence by any means whatsoever. 2, we came out passing the ball. We got in trouble by passing the ball. We went down 17-0 by passing and ended up passing all game and letting Aaron Rodgers hold the ball for 36 minutes versus our defense. Now, no defense can survive that. And then after the game, our defense is horrible. Our defense. We gave Aaron Rodgers the ball for 36 minutes, and you expect a defense to be able to stop that. Not going to happen. And on the flip side of that, they ran for 4 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers got 0. He used that beautiful golden arm, the best quarterback in the league, most talented quarterback there is right now, to move the chains so he can hand it off back to their running back so he can get into the end zone. So I don't get our love for the pass, especially when we are built to run. Now, our run game is predictable. I'm the first to tell you that. Our run game, we don't do reverses well. We don't do misdirections. We can't do screens. Any of that creative stuff, we don't do. But that's coaching, people. That's scheme. That's coaching. Right now in the NFL, for all you people that love the pass, right now in NFL, there is one, I will repeat, one passing football team in the NFL, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. And on Sunday Night Football, if you watch that game, the Colts employed a very creative run game. Used 3 running backs to maul that defense. The blocking was so intricate. It was amazing to watch. And Kansas City was they were just helpless against their running game. Against Mac and 2 running backs, but one is really Naheem Hines. I don't even know what he is. And the other running back I never heard of before. And they beat the living heck out of that defense, and they beat the heck out of Kansas City's quarterback on the flip side. The pass rush just absolutely murdered them, kind of like the 49ers murdered Baker Mayfield last night, because, again, the pass rushers in the NFL are too good for you to employ a passing game week in and week out. And we just ran into one last week without our tackles that literally murdered us. So I'm sorry. This trend of you got to throw the ball, it's a farce. Football is still football. Fantasy football is something different, and that's why I stopped playing, because it makes you look at the game from a different, more stat-driven perspective, and that's not the truth. The truth is in the pudding. And right now, please tell me this team that passes the ball week in and week out and beats the living crap out of teams. And to drive this nail in just a little bit further, our last 4 losses, how did it happen? The Indianapolis Colts ran down our throats and embarrassed us. The Los Angeles Rams had 2 100-yard rushers in the playoff and literally gutted our defense. The New Orleans Saints had a pedestrian offense and ran a methodical, simple run offense and held the ball for 36 minutes while barely gaining any yards. Just played keep away from us and beat us. And then the Green Bay Packers ran the ball in the end zone 4 times. Even with Aaron Rodgers, they ran the ball into end zone 4 times, breaking the record for touchdowns in the game. We're not even dying by the pass. We're dying by the run, and we'll still stick with that. Oh, we got to throw the ball. We're dying by the run. So the bottom line, we have a pass-happy organization from top to bottom. We have a pass-happy coach. We have a pass-happy offensive coordinator. And we have a pass-happy fan base. And I have a strong suspicion, that that's why our run game is so predictable. Because there is very little emphasis. There's almost no creativity whatsoever in our run game. They just expect Zeke to go out there and eat without scheming for it. So I'm sorry, that game last night, it brought all of this to my head, that I just don't know where you guys are getting this. You have to pay, other than listening to people that talk too much on television. Because if you look at the numbers, if you look at what happens in games, You do not see anybody passing the ball week in and week out. You do not see any quarterbacks putting their team on their shoulder week in and week out outside of the Kansas City Chiefs. And I have some real suspicions about that football team right now, because that's all they can do. We'll see what happens when Tyreek Hill comes back, but it seems like that's all they can do. They can't play defense and they can't run. We'll see how far that gets them. But all right, guys, again, we have a pass-happy organization, and us, the fans, are part of it. All right, guys, see you tomorrow. Peace.